Ladies and gentlemen, this is Frank Donga, and you're listening to Boom Radio. Boom Radio. Keep listening. Don't touch it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the BoomBar right here on your Boom Radio NG. My name is Dolupo, and whoop, we definitely made it to the last day of the year 2024. Yeah, today is a special welcome to everybody that is going to watch, that's watching, that's listening. Welcome that you stayed with us till the end of the year. It is amazing. It is, we're full of Thanksgiving, and that we're here at this point in time. It's such a wonderful day, you know. It's almost like you could also remember, like, okay, the first day of 2024, and it was packed with a lot of emotions and expectations and all. But whatever it is that we want to say, it is the final day of the year, so it is what it is. So, like I said, welcome to the bar. It is the 31st of December 2024, and it is the 3 o'clock hour where we give you everything sports, politics, entertainment, and everything else in between. So, today, of course, is the last day of the year. We did that, I think, last year as well. There are quite a number of things happening. However, we have decided that we're going to have a huge recap of a lot of interesting things, notable things that happened in 2024, things that shaped 2024, things people saw coming, things people didn't see coming, things people predicted, things people did not predict. However, we're going to talk about everything right here at the bar today. So sit back, relax as we get into today's show. My name is Dolupo, the one and only. It's been a long time since somebody has said that. Anyway, so I'm in the studio with Sola Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and to all of you who are already in 2025, just be patient. We'll try to catch up.
We're getting there. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about the interesting things that happened. We cannot say a lot of things didn't happen, but there are quite a number of other things that we would say probably took a lot of precedence to with other things that happened. We're going to be talking sports, we're going to be talking entertainment, things that happened in Nigeria, generally politics, and even around the world. So, first things first, where do we even start from?
Oh, well, you can start from January, start from maybe not necessarily January, but one of the bigger stories early on this year was the explosion in Ibadan.
Yeah, that was really early in the year. Yeah, that was a very interesting way to start the year.
Yeah.
That was really early in Ibadan.
It was shocking.
It was.
And it was on the front burner for days, if not weeks.
People lost their houses, people lost cars, people lost their lives, actually.
Yeah.
It was something, And
so in case you probably were out of town, and by town I mean planet Earth.
Because everybody heard.
Yeah.
Everybody heard.
Some people living in Ibadan who were alleged to be illegal miners stored heavy explosives in their home, and somehow it caught fire. And around that period, Nigerians were used to throwing fireworks and what we call banga. So initially people thought it was some massive fireworks going on somewhere.
But it was
way beyond that.
The damage was a lot.
Yeah, it was devastating. And then with more revelations came the fact that these guys were from sister West African country, and it was a practice that they've been used to, and this more or less opened a can of cankerworms of sorts.
Yeah, but it was really sad.
The Oyo State government and governor must be commended. Their reaction was swift. The federal government also came through, patients were quickly moved to most of the hospitals, especially the University College Hospital Ibadan, arguably the biggest and the best of its type. And again, blood donors were called for. It was just a whole lot.
It was a whole lot for.
And that happened in Nigeria in 2024.
Oh yeah, it definitely really also happened. So I'm not sure. I think that some people got arrested. I'm not sure the real culprit or the owner of the person that rented the apartment that people talked about was ever really caught. But now that you're saying, when I were talking about it, never really thought of it, like the amount of what's the word now? I'm not sure that it was ever really followed through. But any which way, the sad part is that people actually lost their lives in that situation that happened in Oyo State. Now, moving on from that, and another very sad incident that happened was also, there was a mass kidnapping also early in the year in Kaduna, where pupils, I think about over 100 pupils were abducted. It took a while, but I think that they finally got released. The army finally got freed them, but it definitely took a while. However, that number definitely sent shockwaves to Nigerians, because, of course, it reminded of something that we thought that we had put behind us. A couple of years ago, those things were happening on irregular, and that definitely sent shockwaves. There were about 280 of them that were taken, and but it was really sad. It was very, very sad, but I think that they got released at some point.
Yes, kudos to the military. They actually came through, and they did their best in that situation. Again, you just wonder how it's possible for these bandits to move many people at the same time,
and nothing is happening.
And they have free reign.
Exactly. It's crazy, though. It is crazy, but it is what it is. That also was something very interesting that happened earlier in the year. Now, let's move on to maybe a bit more interesting stories and things that we definitely talked about and maybe spent even weeks. The whole country and even beyond spent weeks, and a lot of things were attached to it. Minimum wage increase.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that, in case people did not remember, let me juggle people's memories. There was the strike back to back. Remember, there was the conversation of all in the name of strike happening, some people shutting down the national grid, and some people writing, and NLC and TUC writing, signing undertakings that the federal government was not going to arrest people for doing those things. And there was that conversation if it was me. Okay. What is it? Oh.
Something popped up on Facebook, actually.
Oh. Sorry. That actually caught me off guard. Like, where am I hearing myself?
It would catch anybody else off guard.
So, now it was that angle. There was all that angle. There was a lot of back and forth. Also, remember the 600 and something thousand naira minimum wage.
Yeah. We laugh now because it was extremely funny then too.
It still is.
You're just wondering, like, where do you guys get off, thinking all these things?
I remember we were here where we had talked about it, that it can't be more than like 70,000 naira and all that. We actually did predict it right here at the bar. Like I said, it's still hilarious when you think about it. Up until now, it still sounds very hilarious how the trade unions wanted to collect 600 and something thousand, and there was a lot of back and forth.
Oh yeah, and they started drawing parallels with other economies.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that as much as you distrust the government, you must be real with your situations also.
Yeah, let's be realistic.
A lot of those things were more like hocus pocus, like, Yeah, if they don't get 600,000, then they.
And then everybody seemed to have something to say.
Yeah.
A lot of people had things to say. The federal government has the money, some people said blah, blah, blah. Then the conversation now came up that even the 30,000 naira minimum wage that was being paid, there were quite a number of states that were not even paying.
They were still paying the old 18,000.
Oh,
and
Lord.
they were owing.
Yeah, and they were owing. So it definitely brought up a lot of things. It was a major conversation that we're safe to say that shaped part of our 2024 as Nigeria. However, there definitely was a compromise, and the federal government announced 70,000 naira minimum wage. Finally,
yeah,
it started with I think 60,000. Then he moved to 65, and there was a lot of.
But in between that time, the government had already started paying some kind of augmented salaries.
Yeah.
They called it some form of palliative and all of that. So when you look at it, you know that they were already prepping themselves for something within the range of 60 to 70,000
naira minimum wage.
But kudos must go to the former Edo State governor, who more or less went ahead of everybody to pay 70,000.
I have a feeling the man knew. Of course, they probably knew the stance of the federal government and just decided to go with it.
He could have known and just blanked and said, you know what, I'm leaving in a few months anyway.
Yeah, okay, that's
so
also
kudos
true.
to him.
That's also very true.
For being upfront and just being honest and say, you know what, we can afford this. And he started paying it, and of course
that's actually very hilarious. But now that I'm remembering, it was a very hilarious time, because the trade unions just came up with this all sorts. They come up with all sorts of orders and all sorts of suggestions, and everybody seemed to have an opinion about everything. There was really a lot. There was the issue of when should the federal government increase minimum wage. There was the problem of, is it even minimum wage or minimum salary? There was also the issue of a lot of people not realizing that nobody gets paid minimum wage in the federal system.
But the funny thing, that quick note, people still think that there's someone on a minimum wage. A lot of people still think that there's a level 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I still see the conversation.
After so much conversation around it, I'm not even going to say anything again. All I will say is, okay. Anyway, that then now spiraled into us seeing governors now announce their own minimum wage as state minimum wage. I think it went as high as 85,000 in Lagos, and I think Delta State.
Yeah, and Lagos has already made a promise that there will be a review very soon,
and I think in less than a year.
Again, talking about the minimum wage and reviews, the federal government also promised that it won't take this long anymore. It won't be 6 years or 7 years before there's a review in the wages of workers. They say that they want to pay people a living wage.
Yeah. So that definitely was something. That definitely was. We definitely had a time. That's all I can say. It definitely was something. Now, moving on from that, and this issue of minimum wage definitely brought up a lot of conversation. Now, another interesting policy that we saw in 2024 was the era of the beginning of the era, because we're in that era now of the different bands.
Yeah, and trust me, we're not in the entertainment gist yet. When she talks about bands, she's not talking about the making of the band.
No.
Or music. She's talking about
electricity.
Power distribution.
Yeah, it's now we know we have band A, band B, band C, band D, band E, I think.
And even the band Z.
That was something we saw. We also saw like the trade unions also get on it and talk about a lot of strikes or how those things need to be moved. And for people that do not understand, so there is now a division in tariffs. So people that are on band A, we saw how people got moved to band A and pay about 3 times, if not a little bit over 3 times more than what everybody else pays. But there's supposed to be promise of a certain amount of hours of electricity per day. That also brought up a lot of conversation, because that a lot of people linked it up to how like the trade unions linked it up to how much is minimum wage that people will be paying for power, this much and all that. However, I think there was a lot of sentiment in it, because it was about less than 15% of people, of Nigerians, only pay on band A. However, on the good side, maybe not on Nigerian side, was how we saw distribution companies declare profits.
So it was made possible based on the deregulation and the new power rules that Nigeria signed, the laws that Nigeria signed. For instance, now the states can take charge of their power generation and distribution. It happened recently again in Ogun State. The different states are setting up the infrastructure for it, and even the structure for it. However, it wouldn't have been possible if the bans were not highlighted. And what band A basically means is that your power is no longer subsidized by government. And now the power companies can generate enough money to pay for the powers that they buy. I mean, the distribution companies can now pay the transmission and the gencos, and everybody just gets paid. And so there's gas available now because they can afford to pay for it. You know, in the same power sector, Nigeria was responsible for throwing Ghana into darkness also in 2024 by switching off the gas. Not deliberately though, but there was a reason. And at some point, they couldn't ship gas to Ghana in 2024.
In 2024, I'm still talking about power and basically removal of electricity subsidy on that. Now there was the conversation of the constant collapse of the national grid.
Arguably the most national grid collapse that you have ever witnessed in recent times. Arguably. It became a thing of sadness for everybody, because we experience power cuts in Nigeria. And when you experience a power cut, you know that, okay, they're going to restore power in a few hours or a few minutes or a few seconds time, as the case may be. But with the grid collapsing, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when. And even if they start to put it back on, it takes hours and at times days for it to be fully restored. Nigeria had gone a couple of months this year, without the grid collapsing at all, and they were celebrating it. Then suddenly, boom, out of nowhere. The first set of grid collapses were occasioned by sabotage. There's this deliberate effort by some bandits and some criminals and never-do-wells to shut down the grid by blowing up power towers. That they must have learned from the people in the industry that actually shut off the grid because they were trying to collect minimum wage. Those ones must have taught them something. You know what? We can actually make Nigerians feel this thing more.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where they borrowed it from. Maybe, just maybe.
It was
or allegedly.
It definitely was something.
It was a sad thing. And the grid collapsing became a joke. It became something that people would even use. Today now, it's now like a meme. It's now part of our national language that,
the grid has collapsed though.
they were referring to some lady on social media that relationships are worse than the national grid.
Ah, Jesus Christ.
And the grid now is something that they used to, use derogatively and say, that lady's grid is crashing or has crashed.
Anyway, so
it's all from social media.
It definitely
it's reported speech.
Okay.
It's not my own.
Okay, we get it. Just
it's Dolupo's prompting that
excuse you.
Talk about the grid and
sorry. Anyway,
the grid crash.
Now we're moving on. We're still talking about power here, but on this time now we're talking about petrol. And this year started and was really, really, honestly, really plagued with one of the worst fuel scarcity that we had seen. It was horrible. To not worsen it, it was expensive fuel, and people still didn't get fuel to buy it.
Yeah, like I
And
said,
it went on for months.
you know, there's a reason why people have this distrust of government. Like they told us, once one refinery starts to work like this, there will be power supply, there will be petroleum in abundance, the prices will crash. It was a lie. They were just fooling us. We were fooled.
Fuel scarcity was really
Then,
horrible.
Scarcity now became the order of the day.
It was.
And PMS became extremely scarce to the point where it felt like 10 years ago when people used to sleep in the filling stations just to buy fuel. Then, you know, the power that the filling station attendants in Nigeria had lost, they gained it back 1,000,000-fold. They became demigods again. You know, you would go to a filling station and be bowing to this semi-literate guy or girl because you need to buy fuel. Exorbitant fuel at that. And you must beg.
Yeah.
And they will tell you, no, you did not patronize them or patronize them last year, so they're selling to this person first or that person next. It was just a terrible thing. It was a terrible time in our lives. And the funny thing about human beings is that when a situation changes, they just move on. They forget how bad it was.
Yeah.
But it's our job to remind you that it was terrible.
Oh, it was a very, very terrible time. But talking about fuel, we saw in 2023, specifically in May of 2023, where the outgoing president then had inaugurated the Dangote refinery. However, we did not see that that refinery come to life until October of this year.
Nigerian politicians,
it was something.
Stop it.
It was something.
Stop it.
But funny enough, okay, I would say that was not the intention of what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that in 2024, we saw how we at least witnessed 3 different refineries working.
We are going to get to that point, but
Nigerian
Nigerian politicians, stop. I remember Lagos had a military ruler once, or governor, whatever they call them, that launched a stadium. It was one of the stadiums that he inaugurated and left the government. Then the civilian governor came in and they did the assessments and the stadium could not be used. It could not be used for at least a year plus, almost 2 years, because they had to put things in place. But this was a project that had already been launched and inaugurated with a lot of fanfare. Please, politicians or military or civilian or whatever, stop it. Worst case scenario, beg the person that has inherited your government that please, when this thing is ready, call me. Let me cut the tape.
I will come and
you
cut
know
the
I
tape.
started it.
I will
please.
come and cut the tape.
But you go there and cut tape and take pictures, and they said Dangote refinery was going to. They did not roll out for a year plus.
Oh
after.
yeah, over a year plus. There was a lot of conversation. Another one was even the Port Harcourt refinery. There was it will open today, it will not open tomorrow, and then there was a lot back and
Port
forth.
Harcourt refinery was just like when a guy sends money to a babe to say, oh yeah now, Shebi, you are coming to check on me. The babe says yes. Then he sends money to her. Then she says, I'll come in the afternoon. Then she says, I'll come in the evening. Then she said, I'll come tomorrow. Oh, then I could not get Uber.
But finally came.
Then she just kept on posting him.
But he came.
I don't know about that.
Because the Port Harcourt refinery finally came on stream, even though there was a lot of controversy around it. The NNPC had to take people around, had to take labor unions around to actually see for themselves. And then just a few days ago, there was the announcement of the Warri refinery. There was
yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the conversation of the Kaduna refinery coming on stream very, very soon.
And Port Harcourt too.
Yeah.
Which means that hopefully sometime this year, Nigeria would have...
Next year.
Yeah, 2025.
Yeah, next year.
I am on Fiji time now, please.
Oh, God.
Please. I am in Fiji as we speak. So hopefully sometime in 2025, Nigeria would have at least 5 refineries. And there are other modular refineries that are actually functional and are also coming on stream. Because I don't like it when people forget that, the Walter Smiths of this world have invested a lot, in building modular refineries
in
for
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Anyway, Sha, the honest truth is that we have, in 2024, we're live and well to witness the fact that Nigeria has 3 functional refineries.
Yeah, 3.5.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Why does he have?
There's another half now, the Port Harcourt one that is
God.
already
It's
almost
not,
working.
no.
You know?
Let's stick to the ones that we...
So if you had the other half of Kaduna, so that means we have 4 functional at the moment.
Well, they're not
5.
functional.
It can be 5.
Let's stick to,
let's
stick to the ones.
Again, you come into the year and Nigeria is heavily importing, the byproducts of crude.
I think it's safe to say
that she sells.
It's a beautiful
and
way
now
to
Nigeria
end
is
the year.
exporting PMS, DPK, AGO, everything. Nigeria is exporting. Again, I get it when everybody, just like worry. I saw one of the popular online media outlets saying exclusive. Worry only producing diesel. I said, God.
That's what every one of them does first.
God. Is that not the process?
That's not how what happened. That is it. What is exclusive?
The things that we do,
What
they know their audience, and it's not even a Nigerian thing. It's a global thing.
It's global ignorance. Like
don't read or research.
What is exclusive about it is news. Everybody knows.
Exclusive.
Oh
you guys, you know yourselves. Something desert reporters or whatever.
Anyway, talking about all these interesting things is what brought about protest. We also saw a lot of protest in Nigeria. There was EndBadGovernance protest. There was End Hunger protest and all that. I think there was one in August. There was another one in October, and I think it's safe to say that with the kind of hardship that started with a lot of people this year, with the Nigerian economy, with the dollar just nose diving, with our inflation moving like it's no man's business, I think it's safe to say that it was those protests, people were not out of place to have protested.
Yeah, because a whole lot of it was like a shock therapy. It was a shocking thing when the president made that pronouncement. When he was being sworn in as president. A whole lot of things have happened after that, and Nigerians were expecting the usual reversal. Like, no matter how much people would try to remove subsidy, it would always be reversed with a lot of hue and cry. And even protest. And of course, this time around, the president of Nigeria stuck to his guns and said, no, we're not going back on this. This is something that we need to do. So that brought, and has still brought, and still has a lot of hard times that Nigerians are passing through. Nigerians are passing through a lot. But we're not in isolation, we know. But specifically in Nigeria, ours are more about the government policies, and they're harsh and they're hard. So, yeah, some people decided to, voice their disgust and displeasure at the government. It's in pockets here and there. Then some people, of course, will usually try to hijack it and make it into their own agenda and all of that. And that eventually snowballed into a lot of chaos, especially in northern Nigeria.
Yes, that was a lot. We saw, I think it was a lot in Kano, in Kaduna, in Katsina. There were a lot of states that had to go to basically had curfews for a couple of days. Now, with that being said, there was not the conversation of, remember the story of the people waving the Russian flags?
I do.
Okay. So that also now brought about a lot of arrests, which now snowballed into people being kept for months. And then when they got to court, there was the conversation of minors.
So the protest had people of all ages and all genders involved in northern Nigeria, majorly in northern Nigeria. But eventually, some of them were arrested and shipped off to, I think, Abuja or somewhere. And when their day in court came, the bulk of the people that we saw in the videos were young people. They looked like minors. And that, of course, was not right. There's no way you're going to take minors and lock them up with adults. They have juvenile facilities. Nigeria has. Everybody in the world, every part of the world has those juvenile facilities. But I think that one of the things that also happened was that it was now politicized, and it is a smart move by the opposition to highlight that some minors were arrested, forgetting or downplaying that there were also a lot of adults who were arrested. But no minors should be treated that way. You get, for me, I like to balance things and say that it was wrong on the part of government, and they didn't have a choice. They bowed to a lot of pressure, and a lot of those guys were let go.
Yeah, a lot of them were let go. So that we saw in 2024 as well. Another interesting thing. Maybe we should move on from all that and move on to a bit of courts. First things first, we saw a lot of court issues with Godwin Emefiele.
Yeah, Godwin Emefiele.
Quite a lot of forfeiture.
Is
quite a lot.
Is in contention for Daddy of the Year. You know, it's an award that was solely reserved for Daddy Abacha. You know, he's tried for Nigeria by returning money from the grave. You know, from time to time you hear that there's one largesse that's coming our way. Of course, it was money that was stolen from Nigeria. Mm-hmm. That's why it's being returned. But in Emefiele's case, it is alleged. It is alleged until the case is concluded.
There are some times that there's already final forfeiture on a lot. So it's not alleged anymore.
A lot of it is still alleged.
I say a lot, but there are some that are not alleged anymore.
Yeah, so just in Emefiele's case, he has allegedly and alleged to have stolen money from the coffers of Nigeria.
Anyway,
but in the ones that are confirmed, still talking for future and all. Before she moves, there's an entire estate that was discovered.
Oh yeah, that's
an entire estate
with
over 700 houses belonging to one entity. One human being.
It's definitely crazy. We saw also that happen in Nigeria.
Sorry, please.
Okay, now moving on from that, still talking about the courts. Now we saw Supreme Court. I think it was this year that the Supreme Court got a new, or there was a new CJN. That's Kekere-Ekun, yes, Justice Kekere-Ekun. We saw that happen. There was a lot of conversation whether that should be sworn in, not sworn in. That can we just move on?
Yeah, again, the interesting aspect of that for me is the fact that it's a woman, you know.
Yeah.
It's a rarity for Nigeria. She's arguably, I think, the second.
Yeah, she's second.
You know, to attain that height. And whenever those things happen, they're landmark achievements because it encourages more women, you know, to dream big and say, yeah, we can do this. And hopefully we'll get to be in a world where we don't no longer see it as a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
So yeah,
to
that definitely happened. There was also the conversation around it how some people found out someone like a skate maker or something is actually her son, someone that had come to write a lot of things against the president, and you know there was a bit of drama in that angle as well. But before we leave the issue of the courts, we saw the landmark local government Supreme Court judgment.
Yeah, a smart move on the part of the federal government, saying that, look, there's already an existing constitution and the governors were not respecting it. And the best way to do it was to go straight to the Supreme Court. Oh, yeah, interpret this thing for us. We want to get clarity on this. And that led to a flurry of activities. Some governors, like the governor of Oyo, governor of Anambra, pushed back, are still pushing back. They don't like the whole idea of the local government autonomy and all of that. But the law is the law. And some governors quickly adjusted. Some had already been in the right path or on the right path, but a lot of them adjusted. It still didn't stop them from organizing their one-sided elections where the ruling party at state level would always win all the local government seats, every single seat.
It is interesting.
But that's why in 2025, one of the biggest prayers is that a law will be passed that would take away the conducting of elections
from the state government.
From the state when it comes to local government elections. That give it to INEC or create another body that will be dedicated
solely independent to that. Okay, so now moving on from that. Now let's do a bit more, maybe a little bit more controversial issues. We saw that there was, remember that the president's wife had announced asoebi. There's national asoebi.
Yeah, we heard about it.
There's a national material. I'm talking about national stuff. In the 2024 national anthem change. That was a very interesting one.
So for the national asoebi, as much as people might not like the idea or the concept of it, the good part of it for me is that it's locally designed, and I presume that it's locally manufactured, which is a boost for the local economy. Mm-hmm. And it's a good thing. I've seen the upsurge in Nigerians embracing their Nigerian and traditional African fabrics.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing a lot with it now.
A lot.
The things that people are doing with those things.
If this camera was not being, prejudiced, it will show you that even in this studio.
Prejudice.
Yeah, because, it's alienated me from showing the world my Kembe.
You can stand up.
So, it's a good thing that we were thinking along that line, but I'm expanding it beyond a national asoebi discourse to say that there should be a way to bring back all the local fabric manufacturers to business so that we're buying local, and that will boost the Nigerian and African economy.
Okay. All right. So, now national anthem. So it went back from, it was Arise, O compatriots, to Nigeria We Hail Thee.
Now, some of these things that we're talking about were collectively agreed upon by Nigerians at a confab that was organized by former President Goodluck Jonathan. They had this national conference. And these were some of the things that they actually discussed and agreed upon. You get. Now, maybe because I cut across one or two eras, and we more or less grew up with this new old national anthem. And it was during our time that, of course, they cut over to the old...
I still don't know the lyrics of this one.
The old new one.
It just doesn't stick.
Yeah. They said you can't teach a old horse new tricks. Do you understand? And I don't mean that derogatively. I'm just saying that some of us are just not going to bother. When it gets to a part, I know the first stanza because that's one we always knew.
I think I know the first two lines of the first stanza.
And you know what hurts me the most is that whenever something happens, I used to say, Nigeria we hail thee. I can't say it anymore. Because everybody's now singing that thing.
Everybody's now singing it.
It was exclusive.
Now it's interesting because we saw a lot of people talk about why it wasn't needed, but I think that it's safe to say that we adjust very quickly, or what I say is really not that important, so people just moved on. However, we saw schools that started teaching children that you saw being given birth to know the anthem and you don't. they especially the really young children, because they're still very malleable. I grew up, I always knew Arise. I just always heard that there used to be an old national. I never knew anything about Nigeria We Hail Thee. Now, here we are.
I just hope that beyond the rhetorics, beyond the lip service that is being paid to some of these things, that we actually take a look at the prayers that are embedded, in the anthem and the pledge, and actually, bring them to the fore.
Yeah, there was quite a number of controversy around it, but it's not but the National Assembly agreed to it and signed it, and it's official. Now, finally, before we leave the issue of the things that we can say summed up 2024 in Nigeria, one other major conversation that happened was Tinubu's cabinet reshuffle. Now, this, I think I would say that this started really early in the year, where there was the suspension of the former human right minister of poverty alleviation, something poverty alleviation. Better I do. And that was like, I think the first or second week in January that had happened. And then we saw how there were quite a number of revelations, some true, some not true, about what happened in that ministry, the minister before that. And we didn't hear anything again. And there was always the conversation. And I think President Tinubu had traveled, and then there was conversation that he was coming back. I think he went to France and he was coming back. And the man decided to, ruffle feathers. And one of his... Okay, so Alabala says, Shola, please come up with a national anthem. Shouldn't we incorporate some elements of Alujo and Fuji?
It won't be a bad idea, though. It won't be a bad idea. You see how at times at the Super Bowl, the way the American anthem is, performed, and even at other formal events, and people just make it their own. It won't be a bad idea now. Something like
No, don't do that. Don't do that. We're good.
What's the first line of it?
I don't know.
Nigeria, we getting.
What are you doing?
I want people who know the anthem faster. What are you saying?
Okay, can we move on now?
Move.
Thank you.
Move your move.
Anyway, there we saw President Tinubu ruffle feathers because it was not something we saw with the former administration of former President Buhari. And in 1 year, we saw President Tinubu sack 5 ministers, and 10 others were moved around. And
7 more were added.
Yeah, 7 more were added. 5 people were sacked. There was 1 that was suspended earlier. And Senator Lalong, I think, had gone back to the Senate after he won his case in court. There were actually 7 positions that now became vacant. We saw Madam Uju Ohaneze Kennedy. Oh God. Olabala says, Nigeria we hail thee. Omolokwe Jojo. Ski borobo. Oh my God.
You see, when an idea starts like this, you people don't understand the importance of
what?
It's because we are in the same studio that you don't have respect for all these our ideas.
Bidi.
Okay,
we're not singing Fuji. Thanks.
Okay, you will see now.
We're not. Thank you.
Nigeria, we hail thee. Nigeria, hail thee.
Anyway, we saw the Minister of Tourism, Lola Adejon, Tahir Mama, and the Minister of Education, that daddy that was flip-flopping at some point, Abdullahi Gwazo, the Minister of State for Housing and Development, and then we saw the Minister of Youth Development also get sacked.
So the thing about it is that we grew up knowing that cabinet reshuffles were a part of governance. Sadly, too many Nigerian presidents have gone to sleep. And one of the reasons why that has happened is that the hard work they go through. When I say hard work, I don't mean the hard work in searching for the right people, though. It's the hard work in just searching for the people to fill in the slots for every state, trying to cater to every demand that they get. So the Constitution says that you must pick one minister from every state in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We have 37 states. You understand?
With
so what now happens is that they do not know how to balance it, to pick, technocrats and to pick this. They don't know how to balance it. So once they've picked like this almost for 4 years, case in point, Buhari did it. Buhari in fact, it took him a year or so to even pick minister in the first place. It was because of him that they even passed a law that you must pick your cabinet within a few weeks
yes,
of becoming president. They had to pass a law because man took his time. And in some states, for instance, Osun State under Aregbesola, it didn't even have commissioners.
For the longest of times, yeah. He didn't.
Did you see?
They had to pass a law. And all
laws
that.
have to be passed for this level. And so, again, all of these executive guys, they shall want to settle people, but that's the mistake they are making. The more you pick people who will do their job, the better it will be for you. That's less work for you. I saw a young man tweet something about UCH being in darkness, and he was blaming the president of Nigeria for it. You didn't blame the CMD of the school.
You didn't blame.
You did not blame the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
The supervising they have several ministers of health in Nigeria.
Health, yeah. We didn't.
You were to blame the president. I'm not saying that you can't blame president, but I'm saying that if things were working the way they should, you wouldn't even think of laying the buck or passing the buck to the president.
To the president. So,
and that's the problem of administration, that if you don't have people who are functioning well and doing well, they will blame you, the head.
Blame you, the head, for it. So yeah, we definitely saw that happen. And that definitely caused the stir. But and then we saw other people get into this. Some people got appointed. 7 people got appointed. Interesting names also keep up on that.
So before you leave that,
yeah,
I'm particularly anticipating the impact of the Ministry of Livestock. It's new to Nigeria, but it's happening in, I think, Kenya and some other places. And I'm hoping that the man who's there now will be able to go crazy with that ministry, so that in 2-3 years' time, we will feel the direct impact of having a solely dedicated Ministry of Livestock.
So livestock, yeah.
Now, and kudos to the top performing ministers. Olubunmi Tuji-Ojo, off the cuff, I will not forget him for what he did with the passports and what he's done with the arrival e-gates,
the Ministry of
and the prisons and all of that.
It's safe to say that the Ministry of Interior,
Aviation,
yes, they definitely stood out this year. They definitely did a lot.
Then the others were hoping that they will come to the party. But again, the restructuring of the sports industry. Yeah,
we saw that happen too. The scrapping of
the Ministry of Sports and the creation of the National Sports Commission, or bringing it back, because it's not a new thing. And the people that they put there now, Shehu Diko and Bukola Olakwade, and of course the appointment of Anthony Adeboye also as the essay to the president on grassroots sports. If these 3 people get their acts right, Nigerian sports will.
And you know what? Talking about sports, I think we should just move on to that, since we were there. Now, in 2024, we saw Olympics happen.
Yeah.
Fantastic. One of the best Olympics we've seen. However, one of the worst outings that we've seen that Nigeria has ever had.
Yeah, even our sure gold medal, Toby Amuson,
we went to the Olympics,
could not even get
and
anything.
Came back
She's
medalist.
world champion. She was amazing. But I understand the pressure. I get it.
Came back medalist.
The highlights of the Olympics for me is that France actually did a great job.
Yeah.
And one singular lady, the Australian breakdancer, was responsible for the scrapping of breakdancing at the Olympics. Just one appearance, and they say no more breakdancing.
No more. Right,
you know, Reagan or whatever her name is. Shout out to you, man.
we definitely it was a very interesting one. We saw
dance moves.
We saw China excelled in a lot of sports that you would normally not. They definitely gave like the US a run for their money.
They put in the work.
They definitely put in the work. Also, we saw the D Tigress actually get to a height that no African team has ever done in the Olympics. We saw that the Super Falcons also played at the Olympics. However, nobody came back with a medal. But yeah, there were quite a number of interesting things that happened at the Olympics. Also, AFCON was very, very early in the year. We saw
AFCON killed people. Killed Nigerians.
Oh yeah, AFCON actually did kill Nigerians. The I think it was the semi-final game that Nigeria ended up winning.
Nigeria, South Africa. Yeah, people thought we were going to lose.
Yeah,
that
people
one.
Actually were. Okay, so we have a few comments. Alabala says Bashali is still alive, right? Why can't he be the ambassador of the sports in Nigeria? The allegation against Toby by those racist people was that she didn't want to win any.
Well, good luck to them on whatever they said about her. You know, the thing is that once you're not from that side of town and you're not running for them, you're going to have... And you know, she jumps obstacles for a living. But I think in place of hurdles, they gave her high jumps. But she tried. But Bashali, to be honest with you, I don't think he has what it takes to administer anything. But if you give him a ceremonial role, it will be nice because he has longevity. There's some things that I don't want to review on air, but yes,
I think he's talking about, what's he called? Anthony Joshua is now being announced as the ambassador for the sports festival, the Nigerian Sports Festival.
It's just that's Ogun State is a smart state, right? So the man comes home. We even saw him at the shrine on Sunday at Femi's shrine. And yes, he's in Ogun State.
It is that's in December. Everybody decided to come to Nigeria.
So him being the ambassador of the sports festival is a smart thing. You know, he probably won't charge them a dime for it, but he would have more eyeballs that he can bring to Ogun than Bashali would.
I think
Bashali for many years kept on pushing his agenda of being the oldest active boxer. I don't want to say anything. But yes, if you want to help him, please go ahead and give him some kind of ceremonial role. AJ would do a better job, optics-wise and everything.
Yeah. Yes. So, we saw AFCON and Nigeria got to the finals. They lost narrowly, but I would say that they actually did have a good run. Nobody gave them a chance.
Amazing run, of course, that culminated in Demola Lookman becoming the CAF
we saw
footballer of the year.
Nigeria win that back-to-back. It's a very interesting one. It's also the year where Assad did not win the CAF awards in years.
Moving from Spain to America and all of that, and the injuries she had, everything just showed that she was not going to win.
So we saw there was still a bit of controversy here and there, even with the CAF awards. The drama that happened at the CAF awards.
Moroccans started walking out the instant Demola was announced.
But it was a fantastic one for Nigeria. It was kind of undisputed. Everybody was expecting it.
Award, because now we're running out of time, so I'm sure we're speeding it. Another sports award is the Ballon d'Or and whoever they give it to.
And the controversy. Okay, so Peterman said that's not true. Toby's haters are mostly black Americans. They give credit to her shoes for winning. Michael Johnson blamed the wind and the clock for her breaking the world record.
Yeah, we know what Michael Johnson. That one is. I don't even want to talk about that guy. But yes, when I say them, Baba, I'm referring to them and us. So we're still on the same page.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't belong to any bloc. If she was running for another country in Europe or America, she wouldn't have issues.
She won't have all this drama. There won't be all these talks around it. But anyway, we saw all that happen in sports in 2024. Now, a little bit of moving on from that. Internationally, we saw the U.S. elections. And Donald Trump is going to be president in a couple of days.
So, Donald Trump is coming back, sadly. But gladly in some instances, because I'm not going to lie. I don't know.
There's some things that are beginning to move left.
There's some things that you're wondering, like, where is the world going?
What's that?
Where are we going?
I agree with you.
Me, I don't say you should not have any orientation you have. Have it.
Just keep it.
But can we be sane about it? Can we have small sense?
Remove it from children.
Yeah,
all that,
you can't force this thing down the throat of children.
It's crazy.
You can't remove God from everything and expect everything. I'm not saying so. Trump, in a way, is sounding like a blessing. In a way,
yeah.
I never thought there would be a day I would say this, but yeah, my opinion.
Anyway, we also saw the fall of Syria, the fall of Assad in Syria. That I'm not sure a lot of people saw coming. However, in the UK, we saw a black
Kemi
person, because
Badenoch.
She does not want to be called Nigerian. So
a black woman.
A black woman.
A black
exactly.
conservative British woman. not from Nigeria.
Exactly.
But identifies with
Yoruba people.
Dolupo's people.
They are not your people.
The Yoruba tribe.
You are more Yoruba than me.
I am more Nigerian than you.
Don't even be busy.
You are more Yoruba.
No, you are more Yoruba than I am, actually, when you think about it. Anyway, Olabala says that Premiership Tidori Kodo, Nottingham Forest. I'm telling you, Nottingham Forest is second on the table. As in, who was saw that? Funny enough, there's only one human being that I know that is a Nottingham Forest, what's it called? Fan. And one of these days, I'm going to call him that. He always believed in this team. But Nottingham
Forest is what Tinubu did when he put someone there as placeholder for Shettima. Nottingham Forest are placeholders. That's what I said.
Anyway, it says Man U should go to the National Championship League next season.
With these players that they have, they will still struggle.
No, you know you are making it. It's not that bad.
I hear you.
At this point, they might not do really well.
Under 1 minute, they're considered at home. Under 1 minute.
Ipswich was at home. No.
Are you okay?
Okay, no, it's not them. That is
it's Newcastle. That Ipswich is
Ipswich is Chelsea. Whatever is happening with Chelsea as well. Okay, so Peter Ban says, what are you pronouncing, Shola? Mines are we, are they them?
Oh, my pronouns are rich, manifesting wealth, send me all your money, I'm good to go. Those are my own pronouns. I swear to God, it got to a point where you start to question your own sanity because of these people.
I still saw something today that I was like, what am I? But
yeah.
Anyway.
So maybe Trump is going to be a blessing.
Anyway, before we leave that, we also saw Iran and Israel officially go at it.
Shockingly, things that we thought would never happen. Yeah. And for that reason, the country that Dolupo mentioned and Israel, the country that shall remain nameless.
Which one of them?
The one that was blowing up pagers.
The one that you just said now.
I didn't mention that.
Yes, you did. You said that country and Israel. That was what you said.
I said Iran and that country.
That was not what you said.
Please don't put words in my mouth.
Peter Man says, I thought the second goal was a replay. Man, you they mad.
Okay. They mad.
Are you a United fan? Because you seem very angry.
It doesn't matter. They mad.
I don't care. Anyway, we'll see what that happened, but there's still a lot of games to go. Anybody should just be patient. Be patient. Thank you very much.
There's no patience in this matter.
Be patient. Anyway, finally, before we go, quite a number of things happened this year. Starting with beginning of the year, we saw TB Joshua's posthumous allegations by the BBC. That definitely did something. And
he had a lot of people also fighting back for him, saying, no, it didn't happen like that.
Yeah, there was quite a number of interesting. Bobrisky.
And speaking about TB Joshua, it's the same period that I am a chosen became a thing.
So, Bobrisky and his numerous arrests, I think it started from, it was a movie premiere where he won Best Dressed Female. And then that was when the arrest came.
And now
there was a lot of...
He has escaped to Nottingham Forest.
Olabala says, Israel is the smartest country in the world. They blackmail people with cries to support them to do whatever they like.
I don't mention that country's name again.
I don't know what you're talking about at this point. Anyway.
Please, that message was read on behalf of someone. It's not Dolupo's opinion. That particular country, I do not mention their name.
Anyway, we also saw Idris Abdulkarim and his controversial interview, that daddy. Also, we saw
very dark black
Pastor Shiju Iluyomade's or his wife's 60th birthday with Flavor and the controversy and his
the passing of Herbert Wigwe around that period made people angry that it was one of your biggest members and you're still having a party.
And you're having a party shortly after. Yeah, that was a lot of drama. Also, the Chidinma Miss Universe drama also was this year. It was quite a... So I think it's safe to say that 2024 was a very eventful year for Nigeria and the world at large. It was quite interesting. However, we hope that positively we'll have more interesting things about 2025, but in a positive way. So, SR, Any last words before the next time they see us will be in 2025?
There will never be last words, you know.
I said last words before the next time they see us in
but,
20. That's
you know,
like your last conversation on the BoomBar.
Please. You say I'm more Yoruba than you. Don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, Olabala says, wait, don't. Okay, yeah, Pastor Abioye Living Winners. Yeah, there were 2 pastors that actually. What's the word now? Was not resigned. Retired. Yes.
They went on transfer.
Yeah, there were 2 pastors that retired from Winners Chapel as well. So, yeah.
So, the only thing I want to say is that let's do this in 2025. It's going to be a while. We won't see you guys until next year. Can you imagine?
Yeah, next year.
Oh God.
That's a lot.
Are you manicao?
Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow or the next. Or, we'll see you tomorrow. Next
briefly.
Year.
For BoomBar.
Definitely. We'll see you next year. It has been a very beautiful ride.
Cheers, man.
Beautiful, beautiful ride of 2024.
God bless you guys.
And thank you. We're so grateful for everybody that watch, that listen, that comment. You guys are
subscribe.
The best. And we'll be back again of bigger and better in 2025. Have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.
See you next year.